Welcome, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. My name is Alberto Rossi. I'm a finance professor here at Georgetown. I'm also the director of the AI Analytics and the Future of Work initiative. So we're here to talk about AI. Why are we talking about AI? Well, because this is just not another tool. This is what we refer to as a general purpose technology. This is a big deal. We have that, if you look back, we think about other general purpose technology. We think about the steam engine. We think about electricity. We think about computer, the internet. And they changed the world, right? We have the computers. They revolutionized the way we do data processing. We have that the internet changed the world by connecting enabled e-commerce. And AI is going to do exactly the same. It's going to do it in a different way, but it's going to be revolutionizing how products, industries, how business models are operating. Now, what is AI? Well, it's the field of computer science that teaches computers how to think and how to act like humans. So it teaches them how to recognize patterns, how to understand language, how to make decisions. And of course, AI is very broad. You have that there are many disciplines within AI. You have machine learning that in general has been, for example, used for credit risk modeling or fraud detection. You have that natural language processing have been used to understand documents. Now Gen AI has been used to generate text and use chatbots. And now we have the next frontier is going to be AI or agentic AI, which is effectively autonomous agents that are going to be able to complete tasks. And one question that you should ask yourself, is AI news? And the answer is not really. You have that there are many examples of AI usage back in the 90s. You have that if you ever had a FICO score, FICO introduced and used neural networks back in 1990s. You had that very, very sophisticated hedge funds like Renaissance Technology or D. Shaw were using some of these tools to do algorithmic trading already in the 90s. So the question is, why are we talking about AI today? And the answer is that in order to deploy AI in an effective way, you need the confluence of three things: data, computing power, and algorithms. Now, in the last decade or 2 decades, all these have changed dramatically. You have that data. The economy is digitized. You have that every single time you make a decision online, you click on an app, you read something, you're going to generate data. When you generate data, you create the environment for these AI algorithms to thrive because they operate much, much faster and in a more precise way the more data they have access to. The second one is computing power. GPU and TPUs now allow companies to train neural networks in a very effective way. And you must be following the news and how many data centers are being built exactly for this purpose. You have cloud platforms have democratized access to high-performance computers. You can have an account on AWS, Google Cloud, and do it. And you have the storage costs has decreased dramatically. And the third component is that of algorithms. I think that from this perspective, you have around 2017, there was a big leap forward. That was when the transformer architecture came through. And that was the first time we were able to efficiently represent text for a computer. In 2018, we started having the first GPT, the generative pre-trained transformer. That was the first time a computer could produce text that looked like human-like text. You have that in 2022, the world was exposed to ChatGPT, and that was the first example of conversational AI. 2024 was also very important. AI went multimodal. You have that now natively AI tools could work with image, text, and audio. And now we are in the world of agentic AI. Agentic AI is a world where you have that your large language models are having access to some tools of yours, and those allows them to perform work that is useful for you. And let me give you an example of agentic AI in practice. Suppose that I wanted to create a survey on AI for you. How long would it take me? Well, probably it would take me maybe 1 or 2 days to come up with a survey drafting. Maybe I would have to go on Qualtrics, and it would take me another half a day or a day. I would then have to test it, deploy it, and then I would have to do analysis and reporting. And that may maybe take me another 2 or 3 days. In the age of agentic AI, I can do it very, very quickly in a minute. So I'm going to show you now, I'm going to have a demo for you of what I done a couple of days ago, What you see on the left-hand side is my computer. I have my folder. It's empty. It's called Claude Survey. On the right-hand side, I have my terminal. This is nothing else but my way of communicating with Claude. I'm going to start Claude, and then I'm going to tell it, do a survey. And I'm going to accelerate it, so this would take me 5 or 6 minutes. In the era of TikTok, I would lose you, so I'm going to speed it up into 2 minutes. But you see now, I'm going to start Claude. If it starts. OK, now Claude is going to start. It looks like an Atari system of 1980s, but whatever. You have that. I'm going to tell it, create a survey, put it online, do a QR code for me, put the response in a CSV file, and do a Python code that is going to analyze the results. It's going to write itself its own to-do list. It's going to write the HTML file. You can see now it's on my folder on the left-hand side. That's going to be my survey. Now it's going to create a Python code to create the server and put it online. It's now going to do that. It's going to go back and forth. It's going to use this ngrok tunnel. This is just technical jargon for working with and putting something online. Now you see that I have my code for the server that is going to be up there. Now it's starting the website. I'm going to now create a QR code. The QR code is going to be generated. It's going to be up there. And then I'm going to now work on the file that is going to analyze the results. And that's going to be it. Now you see that this is how my survey looks like. I have 3 questions with an open answer. I'm going to have, this is the code that is going to deploy the website. This is going to be the QR code that you could use to access it. And this is going to be the code that is going to be analyzing my final results. Now, I could have you do it right now. I mean, we don't have that much time, but just to show you that this is online. I can go on the website. I can go on my link. I can go online. I can put it down there. I can fill it in. These are my answers to all the different questions. You see that the moment I answer all the questions and I answer also my open-ended question, you're going to have that my CSV file with the results is going to show up in my folder. Now, just to give you a sense, yeah, over there now you have my response. Now, what I'm going to do is, I don't have time to have it all you do it. I'm going to simulate 10,000 responses for you. I'm going to tell Claude to simulate 1,000 responses and then analyze the results. And I'm going to show you the dashboard, the type of dashboard that I can create. This is going to be now the code that is going to generate all the answers. You're going to see it now. Now, these are my 1,000 answers simulated. You're now going to have that I'm going to create all these answers. My results are going to be here. I'm going to have a dashboard, the response for the first, the second, the third answer, and then also a timeline, and I'm going to have a summary. So this is going to be how my results are going to look like. This is going to be my dashboard. This is going to be the answers for every question. And I have done all of this in 5 minutes. So this is going to be my summary. So this is what I mean by agentic AI. So we're going to have tools that are going to be automating potentially a lot of the work that we do, and we have to be careful about how we use them. So the first panel is exactly going to be about that. It's going to be how agentic AI is changing the workflow and the workplaces. We're going to have experts from Microsoft, Amazon Kuiper, from AG Consulting, and from Google Cloud. Then we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to talk about how is this going to affect the future of work. We're going to have experts from private equity, investment banking. They're going to talk to us how they're thinking about the future of work and how they're thinking about their workforce. And then we're going to look forward. So we have that now we are in the world of agentic AI. The next frontier could be quantum computing and the future of AI. Potentially, quantum is going to massively increase the efficiency and effectiveness of AI tools. And we're going to have Mitra Zizirad from Microsoft talking to us about this. But without further ado, let me just get started by introducing the first panel. We have the moderator is going to be Mariam Naini, and please feel free to come in. Mariam is Vice President of Commerce, Customer Enablement at Microsoft, and a proud alumna of the Georgetown Law Center. We have Rocha, who's a Senior Manager of Trust and Privacy at Amazon Kuiper. We have Rodrigo Rocha, who is, we have Alex Goldenberg, who is the CEO and founder of AG Consulting Partner, a consulting firm that consults for Microsoft and many other tech firms regarding AI strategy. So Alex is also a graduate of Georgetown SFS. And then we have Rodrigo Rocha, who is a global ISV leader for AI and applications partnerships at Google Cloud. Please join me in welcoming our fantastic panel.
Thank you, Professor Rossi, for that very warm welcome. And I just want to say how incredible it is to be back here on campus and to be among all of you. Thank you for having us today. Just a few little nit disclosures. I should note that all of us have worked together at some point, which is actually a fun part of our job. We no longer are. But it's fun to hear each other's perspectives. We were speaking in the back room. I also want to note that today, we wanted to speak with you as transparently as we humanly can. And as a result, we'll be sharing with you our own individual professional perspectives based on the work that we're doing. It doesn't always necessarily align to, if you will, the companies that we work for. But we hope it will present for you a data point on what we're seeing and what we're learning and what we're seeing could be coming towards us. So with that, I thought I would get us, if you will, in the mood and start with some rapid fire questions. And so the first question, I'm going to ask you 6. And the first one I'm going to ask you is, do you have any agents reporting to you? Yes or no?
Well, no.
Okay.
I'm about to have a first one reported to me about 2 weeks. So.
Okay.
No.
No. Okay, I do. I'm going to, by the way, answer some of the questions as well. If you have any, for those of you who said yes, you only have one?
For now, yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to say, do you have fewer than 100 or greater than 100?
Fewer.
Fewer, okay. We have more than 100 already in production. And do you have open positions that you're actively recruiting for today? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, always looking.
Yes.
Okay, so are we. And in the last year, have you hired any recent grads? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
So have we. And I'm going to ask a little thorny of a question. Have you laid off anyone in the last year because you've got an agent to do the work or because you found AI could do the work for you?
No.
No.
Neither did we. And then 1 to 10, how excited are you about AI?
100?
I was going to say 11, but 100 works as well.
Yeah.
About 8.
Really? Okay, we'll have to probe that. I'd say 10. So with that, I'm going to start with you, Roshanak. Why don't you tell us, when we say agentic AI, what are we talking about?
So AI has been around for a while. The term AI was coined in the 1950s. The idea of wanting things like human intelligence has been around for even longer than that. AI is about this sort of feedback loop of perception and reasoning and thinking and then taking actions and then learning from all of that and putting it all together and basically completing the feedback loop. Agentic AI is basically taking these concepts that have been around for a long time and basically making them useful to do things, to take actions. And a lot of times they are tools that combined with learning about the context and learning about the history and having a goal, they actually help achieve the task that we want them to achieve. Agentic AI is about having all of these AI agents collaborate with each other to be able to perform more complicated tasks.
Yeah. So in simple terms, how I talk about it to my team, I get to do all the fun work. And I get all the work that I wish I didn't have to do and all the toil, if you will, that comes up in my day. I get to hand that off, and I all of a sudden don't have to ask for any headcount. And I don't need to get budget to do it. I just create the thing and let it do it for me. So with that, Rodrigo, could you share a little bit about the kinds of agents that you're developing?
Yeah, so in my role at Google Cloud, we go after software vendors, ISVs as we call them, to come to Google Cloud and develop AI platforms with us. And we see agents with these partners in a variety of fields. We see in customer service, for sure. A lot of the interactions that we are all having with customer service is now being done heavily founded on AI agents in the back end. We see that in human resources, the way we engage with employees every day and all the type of tasks that employees do, AI agents are behind a series of them simplifying their workflow process. Sales, marketing automation, using AI ultimately to try to come to the nirvana of a segment of one in marketing. We usually try to design populations to do targeted marketing, but it's still many. How about using AI to really condense that? And the piece of marketing that I would see from a certain company is different than Alberto would see. So all of that is in the domain of things we are doing today.
How about you?
So we do a lot of work for our clients, and what we're seeing is a lot of automation around customer support, scheduling, a lot of manual tasks, so kind of what you said, things people don't want to do. I think that's the low-hanging fruit right now.
Yeah. So how do you decide who gets to build agents and what kind of agents do they build? Do you have a process around that, or it's just like the wild, anyone can do whatever they want?
Yeah, so there are two aspects of the question. One, for Google Cloud, what we build as a company to our own customers. And then the second part of the question is, how do we partner with companies? Imagine ISVs like SAP, Salesforce, Workday, UKG, you name it, the type of agents that they are building. So ultimately, we come in support of the partner vision and what they want to build for their customers. And we provide to them tooling and capabilities to ultimately shorten that development cycle and help them make their platform more integrated with external platforms. One thing you're hearing from all of us today when we were discussing with Alberto in the back end is this relationship of all these agents connecting with different system of record in an organization, how you orchestrate all of that.
How about you, Alex?
So I come from a bit of a different perspective than you guys because I'm professional services, so we basically work with clients who are deciding to build agents, but what we're seeing is while the technical skills are becoming super important, the business side of things is also critical because building agents is one thing, but ensuring things like organizational alignment, cross-team collaboration, making sure these agents are not just built but adopted and used properly, it becomes super important.
Yeah, and you, Rocha?
So I'm going to speak to it more in terms of what these agents do internally for our teams to improve our productivity and make things faster and better and reduce the time to prove concepts or do quick experimentation. I think that's one of the kind of exciting parts of bringing agents into the discussion every day is how can I know where I want to get in 3 months or 6 months or a year, but what can I do to either quickly identify the dead ends so that we don't go spend a bunch of time and effort and resources into exploring something? Can we prove something really, really quickly and learn from it and move forward? So I would say any sort of high impact, low risk task is a really, really good opportunity for using agents.
At Microsoft, we've adopted this continuous improvement, we call it CI plus AI mindset, where we've adopted the kind of Kaizen approach to continuous improvement and implementing Gemba walks across all of our processes to understand where are the inefficiencies, where can we get rid of things. I always say we stop with the first exercise is to understand what you need to stop doing. The second exercise is what can you hand off, just not do it, have somebody else do it. And then the third is how do you identify what you've got left.
No,
go ahead.
That's a very important point. In the beginning, if we rewind the tape to the beginning of generative AI, when it hit the media in early 2023, the type of use cases we saw early on were very experimental, if you will. A lot of science projects, so to speak, where the business value and the ROI were not necessarily taken into consideration in deciding what should we do. And as you're saying, Mariam, today that's actually across the industry. All of us were discussing in the backstage. That's a priority number one. You really have a plethora of AI agents out there But when you look at the scale of what's really driving return and business value to the organization, it's a segment of that. Why did we get that far? How do we re-rationalize and help focus on future designs, on designs that really have the chance to bring the ROI home?
Yeah, I think it's one of the things we're talking about backstage. It kind of reminds me of the early days of the iPhone and all the apps that were being built.
Yeah.
Technology is so cool right now. Everyone's trying to build something just to play around with it. But I think over time, there'll be a top tier, maybe 80-20, where 20% of the agents will prove to be useful and the rest will kind of fade away.
I would also say that agents are really good at simplifying complex tasks, but they're not really good at actually performing simple tasks.
Oh.
Some of the simpler things that, as a human, it's really, really easy for us to do might be a lot more complicated. If it's a decision making, if it's something about putting a lot of knowledge together and just kind of synthesizing it, summarizing it, making sure you're not missing the point, those are really good. But generative AI is not human.
Do you think that's just a moment in time, though?
I don't know. I mean, that might be a different panel discussion.
I think in our world, at least, we're seeing the evolution. It used to be that you would have to wait semester cycles for the technology to kind of come forward. We're now seeing it happen on a weekly basis. Yep. And so we may have tried something this week, didn't work. Okay, we still try it again next week if it's worth it, because we discover, oh, the technology has changed and it may work tomorrow.
I think some of the essential difficulties that exist are still unsolved. They may be solvable. I can't predict when they will be solved. There are lots of smart people that are working on those. But the improvements that we see tend to be on specializing the agents to do the tasks that you want to do better, that you are basically making smarter, narrower agents as opposed to agents that are like human, capable of learning a lot of different things and just kind of adapting themselves to their environment.
I think, Rodrigo, your point also about not all agents kind of survive, and you discover some of them you just don't need or they don't need to exist. On our team, we actually started capturing the telemetry around that and discovered, at least to date, 30% of the agents that were created, we actually ended up doing away with. We called them job eliminations. They just went away because people weren't utilizing them quite at the clip that we needed, but also they weren't saving the time. You know, the ROI wasn't there to justify, especially when you're thinking about using cloud services and chip you know, technology that comes behind it.
And in looking at what's happening in the market, the whole market went towards a quantity of agents on your platform is the definition of success. And we are seeing now a shift to the quality of the agents, but more importantly, how fast the reasoning engines inside of these agents are evolving to allow a single agent to do many things instead of having 10 agents. Because if I have 10 agents to aid me in my work, the complexity is still on me. Do I use agent number 3 or number 5? Whereas a single agent with a strong reasoning capability that can parse out that decision to me adds on my business productivity.
Yeah, just to build on that, we did our first agent reorg 2 weeks ago, where we sat down, looked at all the agents across our organization, who they reported to, what function they were doing, and decided to bring a handful together under one manager. And so what we're seeing actually evolving real time is we are now creating org charts that have the agents listed and who they're reporting to, and revisiting it just very much the same way as we would a full-time employee. On that note, what's the skill set of the people who are creating agents in your org? And are you seeing a certain characteristic or trait or skill set of an individual who seems to have more success in doing that?
Yeah. So we're seeing two things. So we're seeing demand for new type of consultants. On one hand, we see demand for agentic developers, AI ethicists. Those are brand new roles. That's a brand new business for us. But on the other hand, the traditional roles that we typically worked with, like project management, change management, org design specialists, that's still there. It's just going to have to be a dual type consultant where they have the business acumen, but they also are savvy in technology. So those jobs will continue. They'll just evolve with the technology.
Yeah.
And for us, certainly, obviously, folks that are in computer science and all of that, they still have a very important role in building out agents. But we are releasing tools also that invite tools for low code or no code in helping to build agents. And why that's important? Because that brings an entire new segment of the workforce to the work building party, the knowledge workers, the ones that work in finance, in the business side, in accounting, all of that don't necessarily have a computer science degree, to be able to build agents that can aid the business processes that they are responsible for and increase the performance in the organization. And in answering the question of what we look after in that, ultimately it's as Alex was saying, that change in the profile of the people working on engines, it's evolving more towards people that fundamentally understand the business processes in our organization, the knowledge worker, because those are the areas that will need further automation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I work with both engineers, people who study computer science, and a lot of actually product and business people. And I would say the common theme, everybody knows their domain, right?
Yeah.
If you are a coder, you know how to code. If you are a business person, you know what kind of analysis you need to do. The important thing is not to treat the AI or the agent as this scary thing that is going to either take away my job or replace me or to be my competition. The important thing is to look at this as a tool and be curious and learn and be adaptable. I think the people who struggle the most these days are people who are confident in the skill sets that they have developed in the past, and they're not willing to learn new things. I think as long as you're willing to learn new things, there are agents that require some coding or low code or no code. Or sometimes it's just about, maybe you don't know anything about this, but you are able to understand how the agentic AI works, and then you go to someone and say, I want to do this, help me get there. And then you recruit someone to help you for 2 hours, and then you have a proof of concept of what it is that you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, and in my org, half my org are developers, and then the other half are business process, PMs, product people, business people. I have all sorts of other people on the other half. But what we found was that 70% of the agents that we actually end up using are created by business people. And that it doesn't mean that the work that the coders do is not equally important, but it goes more towards full-on system automation type work, as opposed to work that actually helps, if you will, address the opportunity for greater efficiency and toil and things of that nature. In that regard, have you seen, either in your own org or in other orgs, agents that scale? So it's not just an agent that works for one person doing a thing that needs to happen, but it actually is an agent that can be shared across multiple teams and work across, let's say, the vector that is that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So ultimately, the platforms that we're building agents should be deployed and democratized in all and any companies. So the users of that company can get the productivity that they need. When you do that, though, there is a design principle that's super important to keep in mind, which is, even though the 4 of us may work in the same company at some point in time, if I send a prompt to that particular agent, for the agent to go and investigate in my company assets and bring the answer that I need, it should do that in the domain of things that I have permissions to see. He works in the same company as I do in this example. If he sends the same prompt to the same agent, the answer may not be the same because he may have different access and different authorization profiles in this same pseudo company that we work for. So when you deploy an agentic system at enterprise scale, having that notion of respecting, doing the work once, it's one agent to solve a series of business problems, but respecting the authorization and permissions that each organization inside of that company has is a fundamental design principle.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the complexity of the existing backend systems, right? Because you can, for instance, we've seen clients try to scale their agents across various support organizations.
Yep.
But because they have to plug into some of the legacy systems, I mean, it's great for consultants because it's a lot of work for us to do, but in terms of system integration, but that's 80-20, right? The core functionality may work, but you still have to fix the plumbing and make sure it works across various organizations.
So, go ahead.
I was going to say, from a technical point of view, scaling is just a matter of silicon and machines and resources. So that's not the issue. And the reason I said 8 when everybody else was a lot more excited earlier when you asked the question is exactly what you were saying, Rodrigo. So the fact that you still cannot rely on getting responses that you can really rely on, that really prevents or poses some challenges in terms of long and broad adoption of AI and agentic AI around the board. So I think unless, and there are a lot of promising solutions to bring determinism into the non-deterministic models that exist, but unless we solve that problem, it's really difficult to see the large-scale scaling that you can just like set and forget about it.
Yeah. You can never forget about it, for sure.
Exactly.
But we're finding agents can scale. And we have 3 agents right now for the first time that are scaling across the entire organization. Everyone is tapping into them. Now, are they achieving the same level of success with every individual? I'm not so sure. We're still figuring that out. But we do see that it's becoming smarter across the board. And every day, I mean, it's something, as you point out, Roshanak, that you have to monitor. Mm-hmm. You know, we have people who, and this actually leads me to my next question, what new jobs are you seeing? And monitoring, you know, we know that quality and test assurance kind of went away for a while. What kind of new roles are you seeing pop up now because of this new technology that didn't exist before?
Yeah, not only quality and testing assurance, but also it's an interesting, we're talking about the knowledge worker now building these agents. And it's the transposition of these functions and practices that were primarily in engineering, computer science on quality, test assurance, and all of that. Also now in the knowledge worker space, because you still need the knowledge worker to see, is this agent behaving the way it should? As a matter of fact, when the agent is designed, you need to pay attention in the design, not only on what happens if everything goes well. That's mostly how we usually develop things. We develop things with the right path in mind. But in this process, you actually need to develop to what if everything goes wrong? What will the agent output do?
Yeah. And
how can we capture that and trap that and put in a feedback loop so you can try it again until the result is right? So a lot of money and time is being spent around redefinition of this process on how you ensure that not the software quality is good, how the agent's process workflow is good.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're seeing, you know, as I mentioned, some of the expected roles like AI developer, but we're also seeing a lot of demand for AI ethics, because I think the speed of this transformation is creating a lot of business questions. What's going to happen to the organizations? How are people going to evolve? How are you going to retrain people? So a lot of demand for org design work, retraining, developing curriculum and learning paths for people to bring them up to speed on AI. And a lot of data as well, because AI is generating for businesses more data than even the cloud revolution did.
Yep.
Now they're trying to figure out, how do we label it? How do we store it? What the security is looking like? And there's inevitable expectation of government regulations that's coming, probably first from Europe, that are people gearing up for. So they're trying to kind of button up their own businesses before the regulation comes, because governments are notoriously slow to react to this. But, and yeah, so I mean, those are the type of roles we're seeing.
Yeah, and that's your area of expertise.
Yeah, just back on the question that you have, I don't actually see new jobs emerging. I just see new skill sets being needed for doing the old jobs. But yeah, so back to the, I think the issue of having AI agents that are either controllable or that we understand what to look for, how to monitor, how to worry about their safety and decision making. I think that's a huge open area, and Europe is ahead of the US, but even all of those regulations are still pretty ambiguous. So just figuring out how to break that down in the context of an individual domain that you're working on and what it means for it to actually be a responsible tech, that's a huge area.
So what are you seeing in terms of expectations around outcomes, right? At the end of the day, if we don't have an outcome, it's not going to be really relevant. What are you seeing changing on that landscape, Rodrigo?
Yeah, I think it's scale. I think scale is number one when you deploy agents. I think it was the company Salesforce that a few months ago, they started to release the stats from some of their customers that are using their agents, saying that they were able to do 2x the productivity. So this call center was able to address, I don't recall if the quote is exactly that, but address 10,000 phone calls a day. And with the deployment of agents, they are now doing 2x, 3x that volume with the same number of people. So scale, how do you bring efficiency? Certainly one key aspect that everyone is looking for. Also, agents is very good for you to do investigations, deep research, so you can get a very difficult problem. And usually our research as people, we go linear, we investigate one path, we finish that, then we investigate another path, and we finish that, and we go on and on and on. You can actually deploy a fleet of agents on the same problem to try different route, a different mechanism. So you now, as the researcher of the problem or the knowledge worker, you are assessing the conclusion of maybe 100 agents that were investigating the same topics, putting them to compete with each other, and you get the best answer or answers from there, and it accelerates much further your research or whatever topic you're working on.
Yeah, 2x is a thing right now.
Yeah.
It's like the minimum bar. Feels like. How about you,
Yeah, I
Alex?
think we're in the initial phases of the AI revolution. So right now, everyone's focusing on the kind of the low-hanging fruit, automating complex processes, and there it's all about ROI and adoption. But I think as we move forward, there'll be new business models emerging, right? People are talking about billion-dollar companies run by one or two people. So we'll see what happens there, and I think those will be some very interesting outcomes where you can actually generate a brand new business or a brand new company. And we have a mutual friend who runs a company with 56 employees, and 6 of them are human, and the rest are agents.
Yep.
So that's the future.
And you, Rocha?
I would say efficiency right now is the most critical thing, and it's really about just figuring out what works and what doesn't work. What's the long-term ROI? There's a lot of experimentation that's happening.
Yeah. All right. Professor Rossi, would you? Uh-oh.
If you have questions, please feel free to raise your hands. And if you have questions, feel free to raise your hands, or maybe get to the one side of the microphones. We have 2 on each side. You can line up behind the microphones. I'm actually going to start with one question that I find interesting, is who is responsible for the outcome of an agent? So do you have that the responsibility is in the builder of the agent, the deployer of the agent? How are you thinking about it, and what is the current way of thinking about this issue?
That's a really important question, and I think a lot of teams are grappling with that question. It's a really, truly an operational and management question, because you can have it exist at the level of the creator, you can have it exist at the level of the manager of the creator, et cetera, et cetera. I think what we're doing is not knowing that 30% of our agents are failing. It's a collective team effort. And so we will sit around a table and go, okay, we're going to create this agent. We expect this to have this much savings. We expect, what do we align on as a goal, as a target? And then we make it our collective, if you will, responsibility to go decide, okay, it's meeting expectations, it's not meeting, we need to tweak it. And we also set time boundaries. We're not going to spend 6 months figuring it out. We're going to iterate over time and then make a judgment call to go with it or stop. So that's how we've been managing it.
Yeah, and it's a very deep question, a lot of discussions happening on that. Maybe a way also to look at it. If we separate agents in 2 camps, the front office agents, the ones that are there to help me with Excel or Google Sheets or any other tool for me to do research. That's easy because then you know who the signer of the agent is. So and if the agent reports back garbage or something that it's not useful, you just stop using it. The deep part of your question is when are agents that are unattended by humans doing back office work. That is more complex because then, to Mariam's point earlier, you need monitoring tools. There is no human watching it, so you need monitoring tools. You need to really build a very robust back-end process to really keep tabs on what's happening there and not let something get out of control. And the industry is actively working on those things right now. There isn't a magic bullet.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for you all coming today. This question is for Ms. Rocha, just about Amazon Kuiper, and maybe you can speak to some of the agents that you're actually creating. Are you using them for like the manufacturing of the spacecraft that you're building, or are these, you haven't really talked much about, I guess most of the panels haven't spoken about actually what these agents are doing. And I'd be really interested to know, like, are any of them supporting the manufacturing going on for the space applications that you guys are working on? Or are they mostly, HR, research, internet, related? You mentioned, Ms. Naini, that there are so many that are failing. Can you kind of give some summary of the kinds of ones that are doing well and some of the features that they have that are doing well versus the ones that aren't? For some of them, for example, are they able to absorb images and leverage images, for example, versus just simply textual information?
Okay. You want to take it first?
Sure. I will have to say that I just moved from devices and services to Kuiper 2 weeks ago, so I can't really speak about Kuiper that much. And as Mariam said, we are also here in our personal capacity, not the professional company capacity. Having said that, I would say the agents that my team, both current team and the previous teams, have interacted with is heavily focused on just productivity at work. That's the biggest criteria, and working, whether it's accounting or finance or product, or reporting or BI, all of those functions. Those are the area that you see a lot of return on investment when those agents are in place. Definitely simplifies the work, and I would also say there has been great, amazing things that have come up from the new Alexa Plus work that's been on the news as far as just this week as well. And the architecture that has gone beyond that. I think that's an amazing scalable architecture that has been put in place.
Two huge areas of success we've had is in the risk space. So I manage all of payment fraud for Microsoft globally, and our use of agents around the world to help us ensure that we can make decisions that are 99.999% accurate, as well as scaling so that we do it as quickly as possible, we identify as quickly as possible, shut it down as possible, and not only shut it down where it needs to be shut it down, but be able to know where else we need to go to limit its, if you will, blastosphere to other parts of the organization. It has been profound in terms of our capabilities. The other area that we have been using agents very effectively is in areas where we interface with partners, much like what Rodrigo said, where we're trying to move technology faster with our customers and our partners. And adoption really hinges on them getting up to speed, them being able to integrate it. And so being able to give them what we call an agent in a box, and has everything they need, and they're able to deploy it and start utilizing it, and it does the things that they need to do to get up and going super fast, has been also very eye-opening for us. We're testing a bunch of different kinds. They're not limited to just business processes, which was the first place we started, but we're slowly moving into other areas. Did you? Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you all for being here today. This is directed towards all of you evenly, although Alex, you had previously mentioned the role of an AI ethicist. I personally find that idea really fascinating, if not super essential, as we move forward with AI in the workplace and trust AI with more confidential information. So when thinking through a job role like that, what type of individual do you think is best suited for it, as well as how do you recommend people become experts in the space when it's such a rapidly developing space? And the last part of my question is, do you all at Microsoft or at Google or even at Amazon, so outside of the consulting realm, see space for a role such as an AI ethicist in your organizations?
I think we all have them. Oh. Like, I know we do, and I know Google does. But yeah, that role does exist. Yeah. We also have PhD anthropologists who are on the team. We have all sorts of people who help us think about the right way to go about this. In fact, if you speak about AI generally, not just agent work, certain kinds of that work have to be pre-cleared. You can't just go and do your own thing. So there are processes already were put in place. And some of the reasons, actually as an employee, you get a little frustrated. You want to go faster and faster. And our companies kind of force us to pause and slow down, if you will. Part of it is because of security, ethics, compliance, privacy, all the things that you would want us to be thinking about.
Yeah. Just to add to that, you were asking what type of skill set, right? I think there's probably 3 areas you have to be good at. One, you have to understand the business, right? The business processes, yes, or what you're trying to solve. I think 2, you have to understand the technology. So you have to be proficient enough in the tools that will be used to be able to understand them. But I think the third piece is the humanities. We actually find a lot of our ethicists, we hire them out of academia, the background in philosophy and sociology and things like that. So I think it's probably a trifecta of skills. But in terms of the type of work, there's probably 2 directions. One is internal, right? The implications of automating internal processes on employees, on the organization itself. But then there's some external stuff as well. Like we're doing a lot of work with Uber right now, and as you can imagine, the type of problems they're solving with their AI are kind of life and death situations, right? If you're with automated vehicles. So it's a very interesting field, and I see quite a bit of demand for it coming in the future.
I would just add that a lot of places don't call them AI ethicists. So if that's the only job role you're looking for, you may not find them everywhere. So trust and responsible AI is a common kind of umbrella term that's used for this. And I would say nobody in a large company these days can work with AI without having an organization that helps provide guardrails and define where the walls are and how to test for things and how to decide whether something is okay or not.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
So thank you all for coming here today. And my question is, right now, still at an elementary stage of the AI agents, I think you all are fairly optimistic about the job market facing the AI agents. But as a freshman who's going to the job market 4 years later, do you think how will the job market be shaken after 4 years of rapid development of those AI agents?
I would say, from my point of view, jobs are not going anywhere. The jobs are changing. The skill sets that they require might be different, but you are going to continue need having people who have expertise in a domain that can come in and think and try to solve the problem. The tools that you will have to use at your disposal are going to be different. 25 years ago, everybody was learning HTML because they needed to put a web page together that described for just internal to the organization what they did. Those skills are gone. You now just write it in a document and you're all set. The same thing is going to happen with AI agents as a tool. So I would say the biggest thing you can do while you're in college is to learn how you learn. Figure out, because you're going to have to adapt and reinvent yourself and your skill sets based on the knowledge that you have. None of us are doing anything that we learned in college.
Yeah.
I studied law.
I studied
At
computer
Georgetown.
science,
Yeah.
and it's all obsolete. Like the stuff I learned as a college student, as a computer science major, is obsolete. So the best you can do is just to learn how you learn.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more. I'm as concerned as you are in regards to the job market. I have 2 daughters. One is senior, hopefully next year. She's going to be here. And they ask me this question every day, and the conversations that we have as a family is very much around what Rocha was sharing. Being intellectually curious. Leverage the time that you are here in school to try these solutions, try the platforms, think of them in the context of your business domain, whatever it might be here at Georgia Tech. Think of ways that these technologies could disrupt the future. Put yourself in the tip of that spear in asking these hard questions, because as Rocha was sharing, this is changing so fast, even for us that are on the inside. And the platforms and tools, I remember resume back in the day, it was familiarity with productivity tools that was the differentiation. Forget that, that's gone. It's all about AI now.
Yeah.
So just leverage the tool set that the organization here provides to you. Specialize in your business domain, and there's always going to be room for that.
Yeah.
I think
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think on the professional services side, consultants are always expected to go from project to project, adapt quickly.
Yeah.
I think that skill set will continue. I think also fundamentals of business are still not going to change. So being rooted in that, technology will evolve. So like when I came out of college, I was learning C++. I mean, that's clearly not relevant anymore. But the ability to learn, come up to speed quickly, adjust is going to be what will help you in the future.
So as a former cybersecurity student and a current business student at McDonough, I look to leverage both the technology and business, right? So can you guys give me some tangible skills that I can equip myself now to, break into the industry? And this could be certifications or, different applications as well.
I would tell you the same thing I'm telling my kids. Like, they should start building agents for fun. Like, take something you don't enjoy doing or that you wish you didn't have to do. And, whether it's something simple or something complicated, doesn't matter. And start just building an agent and seeing what it takes, how does it work. And don't be wedded to any one technology. Because, yes, today you may be using ChatGPT, you may be using Beloved, you may be using, Claude or what have you. Experiment with all of them and just see what works. And it's really magical. You realize the power of it, and then new ideas will come to your mind of other areas you're going to start using it with. Honestly, we get resumes, and if I see the word AI on it, I focus on that, and then I look for, hey, has he been even fiddling with the technology? And in the interview, we always ask, what have you done with an agent lately? Have you tried it? What have you tried? What have you liked? And it's not because we're looking for an answer, we're looking more for the curiosity.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're seeing quite a bit of that too, because everybody puts AI in their resume, but when you dig deep and say, what's your portfolio of agents? Very few people actually play with it.
Or have you played with it?
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
I would just make sure that your goal should be that AI is not magic. That you can actually interact with the agent, do whatever you're supposed to be doing, and you can explain what is happening. Not in detailed technical terms, but the moment the technology is no longer magical, then you have some level of intellectual control over it that you can actually manipulate it and make it do what you want it to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more, did you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, panelists. Thank you for taking my question. My name is Eddie. I'm an MBA student, but my background is also in electrical engineering and computer science. And so we know that there's some limitations with LLMs and AI agents. Specifically, there's some error rates. It's inherently random, and also it's vulnerable to security issues like prompt hacking. And so with the implementation of AI in your companies, how does your team set up guardrails and control the quality of the outputs of these AI models? And is there a sort of ceiling as to where you can use it in terms of the criticality of the task, and whether or not you use it for inherently important and incredibly complex problems?
Do you want to take?
Yeah, I can take a stab. Yeah, so absolutely. This is certainly front and center. So one distinction for us, and I believe it's the same with my colleagues, is the tools that we use as consumer, in my case, Gemini, that we have the Gemini app on the phone and all of that. And the tools that we use in the enterprise space, they're similar, but they are not the same.
That's right.
When you talk about Gemini in the enterprise segment, you have a series of additional tools that go on top of the large language model to curb the propensity of the issues that you said. Tools that are supervising the prompts and the outputs. Tools that prevent that the end customer user, the data ever makes into the main model so no one could exploit that in the future. So you have a series of harnesses that are built around the platform to make it what we call enterprise class, that actually, and why that's important in the enterprise segment, it's a bit obvious because the impact to one-to-many could be large. So the degree of fidelity and quality of solutions in the enterprise space with enterprise AI is vastly different than we experience day-to-day in the more consumerish technology. Now that said, as we learn here from the enterprise, we bring that to the consumer too and make it generally available. But usually that's how we try to curb that.
This all also goes back to the question earlier about AI ethicists and the kind of policies and guidelines in terms of that, but policies and guidelines for the specific use cases that are being used. So making sure that those are in place, that you have the right monitoring in place to be able to determine when and what that error rate is. In language models, it's really hard to see the error because it always looks good. You're not going to get a jumbled up sentence that doesn't make sense. But the moment you convert that generative AI error rate to something like robotics, or something that actually has a different, it doesn't have a language component, or if sometimes even an image, you're going to see that error rate. So having the right monitoring in place, making sure that you have the right testing, red teaming, whatever the approach is to evaluation in place is absolutely critical. And to your point, we don't do brain surgery right now with AI, right? That's not the type of tasks that are being agentified.
Yeah, I can tell you, just to build on everything, because it's true in our world as well, the policies right now are actually one of the biggest limiting factors on our use of the technology and exploration of the technology, because until everything is figured out through the compliance, privacy, kind of all the appropriate lenses, they're not going to just allow something to happen. And so, for example, I'll just give you a small example. I was trying to create an agent that would tie my inbox to my SharePoint to my OneDrive so that I could just look at all the data I had collected across that, and I wanted to generate a report back to me that said each week, here's what you need to know about this topic or that topic. And I got stuck with connecting one box to another box. And I was like, why could this be? And I took it all the way up to figure out why, because I thought, wow, if I could do this, I could make faster strategic decisions about where we needed to go. And I discovered, no, there's some serious, if you will, compliance, ethics, all sorts of, if you will, things I hadn't even thought through. And fortunately, we have people who do spend full time thinking about that kind of stuff. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, but we are out of time. Please join me in thanking the panelists.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we reconvene at 3:15, but I think the panelists are going to be around, so if you have a question, maybe you can approach them, and maybe they'll be able to answer for you. Thank you so much. I'll see you in 10 minutes.